breaking news, remembering the man who helped shape key moments in our nation's history. Legendary American diplomat Henry Kissinger has died at the age of 100. Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois. Christine is off. He's been hailed as one of the most important diplomats of the Cold War era. Henry Kissinger's decisions shaped U.S. foreign policy for decades, but he faced tough criticism from those who believed he did not always uphold the nation's democratic values. CBS 2's Dick Brennan has a look back at his life.
He was a statesman, a tactician, and a master negotiator. Henry Kissinger was perhaps one of the most influential presidential advisors in history. National Security Advisor under Richard Nixon, then Secretary of State. And his work around the world's hotspots made him a household name. Henry Kissinger was an envoy covering so much of the world: China, the Middle East, Vietnam.
The last thing that ever occurred to me was that I would become a major figure in the Nixon administration.
In 1970, he began secret negotiations with the North Vietnamese, hoping to end U.S. involvement in the war. The deal he brokered earned Kissinger the Nobel Peace Prize. But the ceasefire never held, and in a conversation with Nixon captured on tape, Kissinger made a blunt proposal to get North Vietnam back to the bargaining table.
I would then recommend that we start farming the retrievers out of them within 48 hours.
Kissinger would also play a role in orchestrating détente with the Soviet Union and the opening of relations with China. But perhaps his greatest challenge would be in the Middle East. In October 1973, Egypt and Syria attacked Israel. Kissinger continued his diplomatic travels, which became known as shuttle diplomacy, and helped negotiate an end to the Yom Kippur War.
In no area of the world is it more difficult to promote a just and lasting peace.
Egyptian President Anwar Sadat was an early admirer.
I liked him as a man before everything. And then after that, as a statesman. As a statesman, I admire him, really.
But he had his detractors. In an interview with CBS, he answered critics who claimed the foreign policy of the Nixon administration was at times criminal.
That's a reflection of their ignorance. It wasn't conceived that way. Wasn't conducted that way.
If there was an overall diplomatic philosophy, it was to move deliberately.
His approach was incremental, step by step. Don't try to force the parties to end a conflict when they're not ready to.
Heinz Alfred Kissinger was born in Fürth, Germany on May 27, 1923. His family fled the Nazis and moved to the U.S. when he was a teenager.
Henry Kissinger is known as a scholar and a diplomat, but he was first and foremost a European, a German Jew, who had to leave his country because of the rise of Nazism.
Kissinger would go back to Germany as a U.S. soldier to fight in the war and later attended Harvard. He may have become the world's most well-known diplomat, but he was getting serious celebrity status and was even a cultural icon worthy of a send-up on Saturday Night Live.
Secretary of State, Dr. Henry Kissinger.
He was seen with the likes of Lauren Bacall and Elizabeth Taylor. One of his favorite jokes was that power was the ultimate aphrodisiac.
Even in the middle of the Yom Kippur War of 1973, when he was dealing with this crisis, took a call from Liza Minnelli to advise her on whether she should go to Israel or not.
Even when he turned 100, Kissinger was certain that world leaders like President Xi of China would get on the phone with him if he called.
There's a good chance that he'd take my call, yes.
What about the Russian president, Vladimir Putin?
Probably, yes.
His intellect and his insight sought after up until his death. Now, Kissinger described the geopolitics of the world today as more complex than in his time. He died at his home in Connecticut. His most recent major public appearance was at the Al Smith dinner, where, of course, he spoke and was honored in the year of his 100th birthday.
A life fully lived, but you could also see he had his detractors even at the end, right?
Yeah, you know, in June 1974, he's on the cover of Newsweek magazine, depicted as Superman, okay, as Superman. But history can be a harsh judge. I mean, you have policies in Cambodia, in Chile, that people described as undemocratic. So this is a long and complicated life, 100 years.
A complex man, too.
Indeed.
All right, Dick, thanks so much.